Good morning, children. Welcome to the English session. Today we are going to deal with an interesting topic. So, before we start, let me ask, have you heard of tut or tutting before? You might have seen the dance form called finger tutting. Let's see another video which gives us an idea about tutting. So, finger tutting is a type of dance that involves intricate movements of the fingers. The word tutting is a street dance style based on angular movements which are supposed to stylize the poses seen on reliefs in the art of ancient Egypt and refers to King Tut. So, who is King Tut? Let's know more about him through our unit Discovering Tut, the saga continues, a story by A.R. Williams. This is an article written by A.R. Williams regarding the famous and powerful pharaoh Tutankhamun, or popularly known as Tut. Tut was the last heir to the powerful throne of Egypt. He had died at a young age of around 15 years. His death has been speculated since then, with murder being the most possible reason. So let's go into detail. As the mummy of King Tut was glided for performing a CT scan, angry winds stirred and dark clouds covered the stars. His scan was being done to unearth the mysteries that had surrounded his death. Tourists had lined to pay their respects to the mummy of the famous Egyptian king Tutankhamun and made speculations about his untimely death. The mummy was in a very bad state, according to Zahi Hawass, Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. King Tut's tomb was first discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter, a British archaeologist. Tut was found buried with numerous funerary treasures in a coffin made of pure gold. The treasures found included precious collars, inlaid necklaces and bracelets, rings, amulets, a ceremonial apron, sandals, and sheaths for his fingers and toes. These treasures are till date the richest royal collections ever found. Some everyday items considered to be needed in the afterlife, like board games, bronze razor, linen undergarments, cases of food and wine were also found. This revealed that the ancient Egyptians believed in the idea of a resurrection and hoped to take their riches with them. Carter investigated the three nested coffins. In the first, a shroud adorned with garlands of willow and olive leaves, wild celery, lotus petals, and cornflowers were found. This gave vague evidence that the death might have taken place in the month of March or April. Carter faced difficulty in extracting the mummy of the king out of the coffin. The ritual resins had hardened, resulting in cementing of Tut to the bottom of the solid gold coffin. Though Carter unsuccessfully tried to use sun to loosen the resins, there was no other way left to separate the mummy from the adornments than to chisel it away. Its head had to be removed and the major joints had to be detached. The only ground for Carter to defend himself for chiseling Tut was that thieves would have ripped the body apart to rob the gold if he had not chiseled it. As the archaeology changed with the advent of time, it focused more on details of life and mysteries of death than on treasures. Some 40 years after Carter's discovery in 1968, a startling fact was revealed. in the discovery of an anatomy professor who had x-rayed the mummy. He claimed that the breastbone and the front ribs of the mummy were missing. Amenhotep III, Tut's father or grandfather, ruled for almost 4 decades during the 18th dynasty Golden Age. He was succeeded by his son Amenhotep IV, who pioneered one of the odd periods in the history of ancient Egypt. He made some drastic and unpleasant changes. He promoted the worship of the Aten, the sun disk, and changed his name to Akhenaten. He moved the religious capital to the new city of Akhetaten. He made some drastic unpleasant changes. He destroyed the images and temples of Amun, a major god. After his demise, a ruler named Smenkhare reigned for a brief time. Finally, Tutankhaten, the name was later changed to Tutankhamun, took the throne and restored the old order destroyed by his predecessors. He reigned for about 9 years. Tutankhamun, or King Tut, as is widely known today, died as a teenage pharaoh and buried laden with gold. He was the last heir of the family of rulers who had ruled Egypt for centuries. His unexpected demise was a big event, and the reasons for his death remained unclear. Two of the biggest questions are still unanswered about him. How did he die? And how old was he at the time of his death? In the year 2005, more than 3,300 years after his death, King Tut's mummy became one of the first mummies to undergo a CT scan. The CT scan was led by Sahi Hawass and done with a portable CT machine. The scan came up with new clues about his life and death. It provided precise data for an accurate forensic reconstruction of King Tut. Due to sand in the cooler fan of the CT machine, they had to use two plastic fans to complete the scanning process. Tut's body was examined over a computer screen with the help of the CT scan. It showed a gray head, neck vertebrae, a hand, several images of the rib cage, and a transection of the skull. After collecting the data for scan, the pharaoh was sent back to the place he belonged, that is, his coffin. It was a relief for Sahi Hawass as nothing had gone seriously wrong with the mummy. After their observations, when they left, the wind had stopped and the surrounding came to a deathly silence. In the sky, just above the entrance to Tut's tomb, stood Orion, the constellation also called by the Egyptians as the soul of Osiris, the god of afterlife, watching over the boy king. The gist of the story. Discovering Tut, the saga continues, by A.R. Williams deals with the mysterious and various theories regarding the life and death of the youngest ruler of ancient Egypt, Tutankhamun. His tomb was discovered in 1922 by the famous archaeologist Howard Carter, and since then his mummy has been subjected to X-rays and later a CT scan. These investigations have answered a lot of questions and offered new clues on his life and death. Thus, we have come to the end of our session. Thank you and have a nice day.